real quick question. I hate introductions.
I know this all the time.
Do you like introductions when you listen to podcasts?
I must admit, I do like the way how you do it, where you sort of start with a little bit of audio, and then you go to the music intro, and then you go.
Yeah.
Look at me. I never.
And the reason why, because it sort of gives you a little bit of a, what am I going to listen to?
Yep.
But then I find out about who this person is, like sort of thing.
And if you want to listen.
And if I want to, because sometimes after 5-10 minutes, I'm like, nah, like sort of thing. So, because that's not my wheelhouse, sort of thing. Like, as I said, the lady, the Chinese lady, I think because you started talking about primary school and music and all that, and that's we're a school of excellence where I teach for music, sort of thing. So my kids are all play like strings instruments and stuff like that. So as soon as you start talking about that, my ears went, like sort of thing. So,
welcome to the Surgeons Podcast, where you never know where we'll be.
Well, who's gonna be on?
Who's gonna be here? What we'll be talking about. We've got Ashley Proud here today.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive.
Very privileged.
Very privileged.
Always privileged.
You had a privileged life?
If I had we're privileged.
Oh, we're privileged. Oh, wow. I was getting
I'm sorry. So you've had a privileged life. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about your lovely privileged life.
I never went without. I grew up in middle class. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, I went to Fennergrove High back in the day, that sort of thing.
So Brisbane, homegrown?
Yeah, Brisbane. So I grew up in Melbourne. Moved up here when I was 14. Dad had a job. He was assistant state manager of. It used to be called Bior, which is now. It was like Coles and Woolworths, and Bior was the cheap Coles, if that makes sense. And Woolworths Franklin's. Yeah, that sort of stuff.
God damn, you guys are.
You don't know that, do you? You don't know Franklin's.
I've never heard of Franklin's in my life.
So we moved up and went to Fennergrove, and then was involved with basketball and always done all that sort of stuff.
So did you guys meet through basketball?
Yeah, kind of. I think.
Was it?
You went to Maris, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to Ashgrove and
and you're Lang Park boy.
Lang Park, yeah.
Lang Park.
West Mitchie, so
West Mitchie. Yeah.
Lang Park is privileged. That's where I.
That is privilege.
That was the
privilege.
Well, that was the sell. Yeah.
So I just sort of played rep basketball in Melbourne. Was a good Division 1 player, and then moved up here, and the standard was nowhere near as good as Melbourne at that sort of stage.
Absolutely.
And I went from being bottom age 16s, made a state team at 16s. I was like, I would never make a Vic Metro team, like sort of thing, and made,
Why is that? Why is it? Because it's still that way similar.
It's a volume
it's still
of numbers.
similar. It's just the volume thing?
Mate.
Disagree.
You reckon?
I think that...
It's that trash NPP program?
Oh, wow. That's national. So it can't be...
Okay.
I think that we always go back to volume and numbers, but then... Queensland consistently has had individual players who are high level and have gone on to be quite successful at high levels. So I think volume and numbers, by that what we mean is there's more teams playing at a high level competition across different venues all year. Then I agree with that. But just in terms of volume and numbers and how that's thrown around by Basketball Australia, Basketball Queensland in terms of an explanation.
So there's more people, I read a stat, there's more people who play basketball in the southeast corner of Melbourne than there is in the rest of Australia combined.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And when you go to a nationals, I agree, Queensland will have like 3 or 4 good. So if you look at the under-20s that just went, you had Roman, who's a great player. You had Coop, Cooper Rollings, a great player, Indy 3, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then we've got good players after that.
Gone. What's his name? Rocco? Rocco would have been.
No, he didn't go.
No, but he would have been.
He would have,
It's Adrian.
But then we had good players after that, where Vic Metro or Victoria, because they combine it, they send 2 teams. And their 10th man is... So it's really competitive.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. And I think it's so fascinating that we can achieve that high level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in terms of, and even if you look at, there was a few Olympic teams where you had like Baines, Mill, like all these guys from Queensland, Brisbane. Yeah. And it was compared to the sell of, and I think that overall the standard is higher in Vic Metro, which is, I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing.
I think we've had a generation, so I was involved for years and years and years and then moved away, my kids and whatever. I came back to basketball about 6 years ago, and we've had this golden, especially in the boys and the girls, of like we've had like the golden generation. So you had Rocco, you had Roman in the one team. So you've had this generation of talent.
Yeah.
Let's sort of see what happens in the next 2 or 3, because that generational type talent. You know what I mean? Once in a generation,
every 10 years or so,
isn't gonna sort of.
And they're not even the best generational talent that we've had.
No,
like you go back to, Deladova, like that age group where we had Brock, Mitch, Brennan Tees, all of those guys. So Clint Steindl,
Coach Steindl.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So like that age group and that age group above probably brought out 10 pros, 12 pros.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Because there was no iPads back then. You just get
no, kids were playing basketball.
outside actually playing.
Kids were playing on what are those half courts called? They're still around, but it was sponsored by somebody.
Like GIO.
GIO. They used to have the half courts that are still around.
And they just put out all these half courts.
Yeah, they put them out in like 12 months. They built them everywhere.
Yeah. And they had a 3-on-3 comp, and they tried to
just
push it as hard
I used
as
to
they
go
could.
shoot her out.
It's cool.
Did you get to be involved with some of the new recent guys of this golden generation, Romans, the Rock?
So I came back 5. So basically, the story goes,
He recognised the talent.
I come back.
And he came back.
The first
He was
flight
like, he heard on the grapevine that there was an opportunity.
So my wife always, because my kids were, getting a little bit old, like they were 14 and that sort of stuff. It's hard when you have young kids to sort of
you don't have
do
the
different
time.
things and don't have time. And we were going down to the Gold Coast. It was like June, July holidays, and I saw on the Facebook page, because I'm a Brisbane Capitals person, I said, applications for coaching, blah, 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 blah. And I said to my wife, the applications, just like that. And we're in the drive-through line at McDonald's at Newmarket getting coffee before we were driving to the coast. And she said, you should do it. The kids are older now, blah, blah, blah. I said, she goes, no, just do it. And she goes, I said, the application's close today. I haven't got time. Because I was fobbing it off. And the manager of BBI at that time was Trevor Lidstone.
Yep.
And I know Trevor really, really well. He was my assistant coach for one of my state championships teams that I coached. And so I rang him and he said, Murray Aldred will ring you in. And I know Murray really well too. So he rings
Connections,
Yeah, I was gonna, that's
nepotism.
the only thing that was running in my mind the whole time.
So I didn't apply. What I did was I called the GM because the second in charge.
Because I said to Murray, I said, look, I just want to be back involved. I said, I know. I said, you've probably got plans for people. I just want to help. And
in all fairness, you were involved for a very long time beforehand.
Yeah. And he said, great, blah, blah, blah. And they had, so the first group that I was involved with was the group Jordan GPAP.
GPAP.
And we had Wes Briggs. So the coach, Pat McInerney was, I helped him out. I was assistant. So that was the first year. We finished third. We lost the game in the rounds to Red City, which we shouldn't have lost. And that made us cross over against Townsville. And they had Lukey Yates and the kid is at St. Mary's now. What's his name? Rory Hawke.
Yeah.
Sound like you're still hurt by it.
Oh, no, they get hurt. We probably wouldn't have beaten them in the final. I remember going into the semi, I said to the boys, I said, if we can keep, like they had 3 kids, Rory, Luca and this other kid. I said, if we can keep them to 55, those 3, we're going to win. Like, if we can. Yeah. So I think they got 60, but Rory got 48 himself. And it was just like, So then the following year we brought back 3 kids and the group was a little bit weaker. That was a Coles year. Yeah, we talked about Coles.
Yep.
We probably didn't have as strong of a group. Didn't have great culture that year, sort of thing. And then the next year, we already had some really good kids. We had Cooper Rawlings, Kai Van Beest, and some of the 16s coming in. We're all state kids. And then Roman, who was at the Institute, he was a Caps junior. Everyone forgets this. He was actually a Caps junior at
Roman
14s.
was at the Institute?
Yeah, he went COE for the NBA Global Academy.
Oh.
And
he was a Caps kid.
Caps junior.
He was Caps junior?
Yeah.
Caps
And he lives close.
some...
He lives close. He lives literally down that way, sort of thing. And then he came. He was going to play for us at the state tournament. Then he had a couple of things in his family, a couple of deaths, and he's really their families very close, sort of thing.
Yep.
So he ended up playing for us the whole year, and he was just phenomenal. Like in the final, he had 53, and it was just the craziest thing.
That energy he plays with.
Oh,
man.
yeah. And he's a very, he's a really good dude. He's the nicest. So, for example, my dad died that year, and he was the first kid to reach out to me to say, hey, is he, you know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
so that's not many people know. Like, he's very misunderstood. I think people judge a certain bit, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Very misunderstood.
The one time we met him when we went to go play Brisbane State with the older guys.
Yeah.
Nice. He's the nicest
No, really
dude
nice
ever.
guy.
Just
Parents
cool
are
ass.
awesome.
He was
Parents
just-
are awesome. Nada's.
I was like, man, I was expecting him to be a dickhead.
Dad's hilarious.
He was cool.
No. His dad's hilarious. He's the funniest guy.
Yeah.
You know, sort of thing. And then the next year we brought it back, and we brought back 4 bottom ages, and we won it, and then we won it again. Do you know what I mean? Like, sort of thing. So, and then this year we lost the final by what did we lose it by in the end? About 6. That really hurt, you know, sort of thing, because that's the one that's got away a little bit, sort of thing. So we've had a good like 5-year run where we've gone third, 7th, like
First,
first,
second. Yeah.
So sort of happy with that, you know.
Which is the first time that the Caps have won anything for about 15 years.
yeah.
Since Ash was involved last time.
That's exactly
Just
right.
saying, I'm just saying, like,
No,
the secret.
honestly, it's it's the kids, it's the generation, it's a talent, and if you
All the culture you guys have.
well, no, we do have good culture, and we brought some stuff in. So my son was in the Brisbane Lions Academy, which I think your daughter was for a little while as well, and
Connections.
He played pretty high level AFL,
Always.
and you watch the way they do things differently. Like, so when I brought in one of their ideas. So they have like key like indicators at quarter time. If you ever watch an AFL game, you'll see coaches standing there, about 4 whiteboards, huge whiteboards, standing there like this, you know, like sort of thing. And on those boards are like key indicators. So it's not like kicks, handballs. It's stuff like tackles in the forward half, pressure acts, things like that. So my son started playing state league footy, and the coach said, "Look, you're a high level sport guy." I said, yeah. He goes, "Oh, would you do this stuff for me?" So I started to track. I was that guy holding the board, you know, sort of thing. And then I thought, and you look at basketball, especially at the moment, everything is just cookie cutter. Everyone does everything. You go on national titles, everyone runs that same Basketball Australia style of play, lifting from the weak side, you know, split cut action sort of thing. So I thought, how can we get a competitive advantage? So we came up with a couple of key indicators, stuff like kicker heads. You know, we want to kick the ball over halfway. How many times a quarter? How many pressure acts do we want in a quarter? How many, you know, and we have one of our assistants just stats it. And then at the end of the quarter, quickly writes it on the board, and I'm sitting there talking, and they're just holding the board up. And then the kids, it become organic where the kids are going, we're not kicking the ball ahead enough. Look at the number, you know, and become like, so
now
you know when you're
saying
saying we're not doing something and you feel it's your gut, but here's the actual thing which actually says it. And that was such a powerful thing we've done for the last couple of years. And the kids, our feedback from our guys is that's something they really like, sort of thing. So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
So,
feel like
yeah, we do a
they
lot of-
take ownership of.
they
what's
take
going on.
ownership, and it's also, it just helps develop. Like, you know, when you're playing, you're going, oh, we're not getting to the split line. Well, here's a number which actually tells you you're not. Do you know, like, it's not about rebounds.
And it's all intuitive because the
Yeah.
kids get to see it and they're like, oh, there's a number, there's a goal. We're not doing it. I'm not doing it. Rather than the coach having to say, hey, you're not doing, you know, we need, and then, oh, that's not me. It's like, we're
Yeah.
not.
Another thing we do is we call them trademarks. Each kid has like 4 trademarks, like 2 defensive trademarks and true. I'm giving away our intellectual
I was
capital
gonna
there.
say, yeah.
Well, are you coaching next year?
No, I'm sort of, I'm a free agent, you know, sort of thing. So,
Well, then give it away.
so
It's not, the talent's not there.
no.
As soon as
There's
the
other
golden
reasons,
guys
trust
are gone.
So each kid has 2 trademarks, an offensive trademark and a defensive trademark. And it could be as simple as, and it's never, I got 6 points and 7 rebounds. It's always about an action. Did I actively hunt defensive rebounds? Did I, was I an elite on-ball defender? You know, like sort of thing. And at the end of the game, the kid gets a card with their trademark and they tick it or cross it. And and then the assistant coaches read it out to me and I say tick or cross. Now, if you go tick and I go tick, that's great. If you go cross and I go cross, that's great as well because we're on the same page.
Yeah.
When they're constantly ticking and we're constantly crossing, that's when we need to find evidence to say, hey, you're saying this is okay, but we're not. The interesting one, though, is when it's the other way, when the kids are crossing and we're ticking. You know, are they too hard on themselves, you know, sort of thing. And what we found with our trademarks, we actually started it, not this tournament, but last tournament, and we started it the whole way through. And we got to the stage where we had 10 kids, 4 trademarks, 40 for the team. If we scored 36 or above ticks, we won, and below we lost. And it was just some other it's a tool for feedback, basically. It actually fell out of my other life, which is teaching, because when kids get like marking sheets for assignments, it has teacher waffle on it. And I don't know what half of that waffle means sometimes. I can't play you. And there's this new it's called I can statements. Yeah. So what you do is you get the criteria and you put it into kid language, and it's I can write a sentence with complex words, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And it sort of fell out of that idea of, we don't call it I can hunt offensive rebounds, but it was like, it's like a did I, did I? Sort of fell out of that idea, and we sort of had it for a couple of years, 1 year with Pat, and then the last 2 years with me, we kind of ran with it. And I think that's something that gives us a little bit of uniqueness for feedback and helps the kids, and it also clarifies what's expected of them. Yeah. Because, mate, how do you know?
It gives it structure.
That's right.
It makes it all visible.
So the 10th man who's on for 5 minutes goes, I didn't get a point, or I didn't get. Yeah. But your trademark might be, did I box out? Did I? Yeah. Blah, blah,
did I run hard?
We have a lot of did you run the lanes hard? You know, because
you can control. Yeah, but you can control that.
And that shows them that they're having part of the journey to winning, sort of thing.
Yeah, so, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's good fun.
I'm gonna steal that. That's stolen.
No, I was gonna say that would be actually awesome.
Yeah, I'm happy.
And the thing with giving out,
order the whiteboards on Monday.
Yeah, and the thing with giving out advice, people don't.
They're not gonna.
No one's gonna do it anyway. Like, then no one's gonna take it on. Like, no one's gonna take it on.
Yeah, because it's effort. That's the cool thing. It's a lot of effort to stat. It's a lot of effort to get people to hold it up. It's a lot of effort to organise. And once you roll with it, it's not a lot of effort.
I think it's just with your staff when you're the head monkey. I shouldn't say head monkey. When you're the head dog, you know, it's about organising the people you have around you. Yeah. So we're pretty lucky at Caps. We have lots of people who want to be involved, but you're just sitting there.
Yeah. Well,
again, do something. I mean, so
the head person usually doesn't know how to get them involved.
Yeah, and that's always a sort of I guess because back in when I was the second assistant, I had really good like experienced coaches. Like Mr. Young.
Yeah, Bob Young.
Bob Young, and Warwick Can, and even Robert Woods, like sort of Woodsy, he's good fun, sort of thing, and they very structured, very organised, very particular about what they want, sort of thing. So, and I think
learned through that.
Yeah.
Tell us about your teaching life. What's that like?
So I teach primary school. I teach at McDowell. Currently, I'm at McDowell State School. I've been there for 16 years, which is fantastic. It's a great school. I teach grade 6. I've taught every grade. I've taught grade 1, but I don't tell many people that because I don't want to teach grade 1 ever again in my life.
Why? It's
it's pretty scary. Kids. No, it's scary because if you muck up grade 1, grade 2, kids are going to be behind for a long time. They're reading, they're writing, their maths. Whereas if I muck up grade 6, the kids can already read.
The hard work's been done?
No, the hard work has been done.
Foundational stuff.
And it's pretty cool that when you teach the lower years, when a kid at the start of the year can't read, and at the end of the year they can read. That's pretty rewarding. Cool, yeah. Whereas in grade 6, it's more about the thinking and the maturing and that sort of stuff. So, I've been doing that for this will be 25 years coming up. So I've been, I started at Kingston down in Loganholme for 4 years, and then out west to St. George Aboriginal community for 3 years. My wife's a teacher, sort of thing. So
That's a hard job, man.
It is a hard job.
But you guys deserve more.
It's changed a lot. Like that was one of the things I talk about. Kids have changed a lot, like sort of thing. It's society's expectations have changed a lot, like sort of thing. And
parents have changed.
But all you're in, honestly, anyone says it's the same with coaching, mate. You're in the business of relationships. You get the relationship right. Like, to be honest, like this sounds
cliche.
Sounds big-headed, though, what I'm going to say. I don't have many problems because I have good relationships. But that's also with parents as well.
You're also intimidating.
I am an intimidating figure.
People are somewhat scared of you.
I am an intimidating figure. But so one thing I do every Thursday, again, another trade secret, every Thursday during my lunch break,
Should have got you on earlier. We could have probably could have won a few more games.
2 years ago.
When I every Thursday during my lunch break at school, I just open up. We call it One School, which is all got all the parent database, and I go, which kid has done something this week that's just something worth talking to the parent about. And when you make a phone call to these parents and you say, hey, Johnny in maths was really struggling, and he come to me for help, and we worked through it together, and it was so good to see that he was asking for help. And the parent on the other end of the phone is like,
You're not calling me for trouble?
No, and what do you call it? And what's the bad thing you're calling for? I'm like, no, I'm just calling you to let you know that.
Yeah.
Because we don't let our parents know enough when we let them know when things aren't going well.
Yeah.
But when things are going well, why aren't we telling them? You know what I mean? And because most of our kids are good kids.
Yeah, for sure.
And we don't let them know. And it's sort of a double-edged sword. You're doing it because the kid deserves it, but you're also doing it to develop the relationship with the parent. And then if the kid does stuff up, and then I have to ring him and say, hey, Johnny's done this, they go, okay, cool, he's a fair guy, you know, all that sort of stuff.
But also you're developing culture. And that's what that's half 75% of your job.
100%.
Is, like developing culture between the class, and that's what you're saying about basketball, between the class, individuals, parents, all the key stakeholders. If we can develop a culture and relationships amongst it all through little things like that, then
it's about being a genuine person too. Yeah. Like my kids, for example, like I share, don't share. We have this game. If we finish before the bell, it's called Ask Mr. Proud Anything. And you can ask me any question you want.
Proud.
You can ask me any question you want.
Mr. Bior.
But it can't be rude.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and at the start of the year, it's a lot
That's
of,
cool.
What's your favourite colour?
What is your favourite colour? What is your favourite colour?
Blue. I'll take a bit of blue, a bit of turquoise,
Yeah.
But then as the year goes on,
Yeah.
it's like I remember a question last year, would you rather die in a house fire or of cancer?
What would you rather die of?
I would rather die in a house fire quickly, even though it's going to be painful.
Yeah.
I'd rather die quickly and get it over and done with,
rather
than have my family sit there and prolong and see it and stuff like that. So that's a pretty deep discussion with a 12-year-old,
No, it's amazing, but I think it's a good question. Let me just stop you, because that's a great question.
That is a
what would
great
you
question.
prefer?
Would I rather die in a house?
House fire or cancer?
Okay, is this through the smoke killing me? Being burnt.
Yeah, let's do
alive
smoke.
doing it.
Let's do smoke.
Let's
So
do
you pass
smoke,
out
right?
and you then you burn.
That's easy. Yeah, that's easy.
That's
That's
easy.
that.
No, because a house fire, once you start burning, your body just shuts down, so you just die.
Is that what happens?
Well, most people actually die of their lungs being singed.
Inside too hot.
Yeah, so it singes everything in their lungs when you breathe in the hot air.
Yeah.
And so therefore you can't breathe anymore, so you just suffocate.
So then,
great.
Yeah, so then
I
we
mean,
play,
like, better than-
No, it's we play that game, and then it's funny. So the other day we're at house meetings, and you've got all these little year threes in there, and we're counting up house captain votes, and the teachers are at the back doing it. I'm trying to entertain 150 kids.
Yeah.
And my kids are going, let's play Ask Mr. Proud Anything. I'm like, all right. And my kids are asking me questions because they're coming. These little year three kids are like, what? And then they go, do you like unicorns? I'm like, yeah, I like unicorns.
Damn straight, I like unicorn.
But it just helps relationships, mate. Then you're walking through to school, or even the other day, I was walking through Coles, and this random little year 2 girl comes running up to me. And as a male primary school teacher, I'm always on alert of how things look, because it's society, And she grabs me around my leg, and it's getting pretty close to the old fella, and this mother's looking at me.
Yeah, because she didn't know who you
I am.
Yeah.
And I had to explain. As soon as I explained to her, she goes, "Oh yeah, I heard about your game." Blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, cool, we're good.
Yeah.
Because I'm a primary school teacher too. And I teach in HPE. And so, teaching from prep through to year 6. And so I'm walking through the shopping centre.
Yeah.
And now these, grade 4s, grade 6 or year 8s, and they're with their parents. They're like, hey, Mr. Byrne, how you doing?
That's the coolest part.
And it's cool, but it's also like, the parents don't know who you are. And they're like, hello. And I'm like,
who's this dodgy
hey,
guy?
hey, 12-year-old, how you doing? And I'm always, I just do it obviously the exact same way you did it. Like you just go, hey, how you going? How's school?
How's school?
Yeah,
how's school is the big one.
Oh, excellent.
Are you enjoying your high school?
Yeah, that kind of thing. But it's, again, society, like the fact you even have to think like that is a huge shift. But it's
hard because and I get kids emailing me. So like when my dad died, for example, I had probably about 50, 60, 70 emails from kids from previous years who have now grown up to saying, I heard on the ground. Because McDowell, where I teach, is a lot of siblings, a lot of, whatever. And then one kid reached out to me on Facebook Messenger, and he's like, because they're not allowed to do that.
absolutely.
And he's like, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I've lost your email address, you know, blah, blah, blah. He goes, delete it straight away, you know, sort of thing. So,
block me.
block me. But no, that's the cool
That's
part
cool.
of the job.
Creating
is the relationship.
relationships like that. That's
And that-
what's-
Same,
and
but
they-
it's the same in coaching though as well, mate.
Yeah, and they
It's
remember
relationships.
forever, and same.
Yeah, like I regularly write like job references for kids going for jobs at Macca's and stuff like that. It's who I haven't seen in 5 years, and
Yeah, that's cool.
What about the troubled kids? What troubled
So-
kids? How do you deal with that?
yeah. We taught. I want to say we, it's my wife and myself. We taught down at Kingston, down at Logan Home, which is low socioeconomic. Lots of like, I remember one kid one time I was getting up him because he didn't do his homework, and he said his parents didn't have any electricity. And you're like, oh, okay, mate, that puts that in context a little bit. I'm worried about your homework. But when we were out west, so we're in an Aboriginal community out west, and that was an eye opener because I grew up in Fenner Grove, middle class.
Yep.
You know,
Everyone has cars.
everyone has cars. You know, everyone. So we really love St. George, but we just threw ourselves into the local community. And so my son was born, and when he was about 2, he had like blonde hair. So on the Saturday, you had rugby union, which is all the rich cotton farmers, and on the Sunday was rugby league, where it was all the Indigenous kids and the Indigenous families.
Yeah.
Is that the difference in the rugbies?
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe,
The private
so
schools
union
versus
is the,
pretty
the
much.
high
Like,
version, like a league is the,
And that's
league's the
that's
word.
rough.
that's the culture.
So
That's why union's struggling.
Yeah. So I just take Jalen, it's my son's name, and we'd go down because I was just bored, take him down and watch rugby league on Sunday. And here's this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, snot coming out of his nose,
It's a target.
run around with all these Indigenous kids.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
just went, do you know what? Like, who cares? They're kids. And we used to, take him for a walk. And there was certain parts of St. George which were more disadvantaged than others, and we'd just take dog for a walk, wouldn't care, sort of thing. And they'd love the kids with, that sort of stuff because that helped make those connections. And it's like you talk about the disadvantaged kids. So some of those Indigenous kids now, we was talking to one the other day actually, and he's going to uni, becoming a lawyer. Like, it's those sort of things. I think it's a different, the Indigenous world's a complicated, that part's complicated, like it's, there's disadvantage and then there's Indigenous, sort of thing. Like there's
different levels.
There's sort of not different levels, but they're just different.
They're different things. Like
Different things, yeah.
What about even just in the normal schools, McDowell or whatever? There's kids. Can you notice when there might be a home issue? Or there might be.
Once you have the good relationship, you can,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
just
you
that
could.
complicated.
Because if you know, so for example, if you go to like a high school, I don't know if you're a parent, but if you go to a high school,
Are you a parent?
Not that he knows of.
Not yet.
don't know.
When you go to a high school interview, and you've probably been to them where it's just like speed dating. You sit down at the table and the teacher's looking through their notes, trying to visualize who the kid is because they teach 70, 80, 100 kids.
Yeah.
When you're a primary school teacher, I don't have to look at my mark book. I know what the kids are.
Yeah.
So the saying sort of
30
goes,
kids.
primary school teachers teach children, high school teachers teach subjects, sort of thing. So I don't need to look at my mark book to know that Johnny for maths is an A or a B. And, I don't need to look at my notes to say he needs to improve in X, Y, Z, sort of thing. So because you have that relationship, I would say you do know when things aren't going on. But it's also, you've got to be careful too, because there's, if you sort of pry too far into where you shouldn't be, it's like, if you have doubt, if there's any neglect or any like child safety issues, the legislation is you report. And even if you're wrong, you report, sort of thing. And that's pretty hard. I had to do a couple of the last couple of years, and I had a student teacher one of the kids had just accidentally said something in conversation, and she's like 19 years old going, what do we do? Like sort of thing. And even I'm like, all right, let's go. You know what I mean?
Process,
and it was a process and stuff like that. So that stuff's hard. That's hard to
Yeah,
deal
it's
with.
scary.
Yeah.
That's scary.
It's not that easy. You had some questions.
We did
were
write them
talking
down,
earlier.
didn't we?
We had some,
wrote
we had
it
some
down. I can't remember what we wrote
questions.
down.
Some topics we'd like to cover.
Hell yeah.
All right. First one.
Oh, I remember what they are now. I was thinking,
about existing basketball systems, need for some refinement,
Yeah.
but we don't need to throw everything out.
So I listen to you guys talk a lot about like the system. You know what I mean? Like
Ash, the systems guy. Just
no, no,
just
no,
so,
no,
just so we're
I-
clear, like from Vic
and we had that
Metro.
conversation, I remember, in January,
great.
because I remember talking about, I listened to the one with the guy from Bremer,
Yeah, yeah.
and and you were talking a lot about this, like, and I said, like, I am, I am,
Yeah.
I went through.
And I say like it's bad, but
No.
realistically it's
But
just different.
I think we've got to do some work with the system. I think some of the ecosystem is very closed.
Yeah.
It's very narrow. It's not open to new ideas necessarily.
I like to think that there with the system, there's not entry and exit points.
Yeah.
Like once you're on that train, you're on.
Well, it's interesting. So I got a kid at the moment. I guess I can say his name, Luca Anderson, who goes to Gregory Terrace. So he played for us. He's played for me for the last couple of years, and he's a late developer.
Yeah.
And in the final for us, he had 36.
Yeah.
And he's an athlete. He's fun as. He's so fun. Shoots the piss out of it. But he's never at under 15s. He was a nobody. Under 16s, not a state. So he's out of the system.
Yeah.
So now he's made a state team finally.
Yeah.
But he's still not part of that NPP. That.
Yeah.
So he's looking. So he's only in grade 11, but his goal is to try to get to America.
Yeah.
So he's got to sort of try to, like, no one's going to help him.
Yeah.
You know,
Because it's not
he-
part of the
because
system.
He's not part of the system.
Yeah, we're not going to invest. You're not worth our investment. Is essentially how I see the system working. We judge who's worth our investment, and then
And they do judge early.
and we invest a huge amount of time.
So is that
into,
a bad thing, though?
To me, yes. I think that the evidence would show that over the 50 years of the AIS, we have invested millions and millions and millions of dollars into a whole bunch of kids who were chosen early.
Not just in basketball.
Let's just say basketball.
Okay, yeah.
But in a lot of sports, it's hard to argue that in swimming, because swimming there's a whole bunch of success, gold medals and all these.
Yeah,
things.
we
But-
achieve we punch above our weight as a nation.
and you
in
can
swimming.
say, okay, the investment is allowing us to punch above our weight,
Yep.
which it is. Basketball, we've won one medal in the men's for in 50
Yeah,
years.
I think it's important to men's and the women's are almost got to talk about as two separate entities,
so,
because
yeah.
I think women's have actually
well again,
achieved. You know what I mean?
well,
Like,
and they've done well, but again, is that a combination of the system and talent? Because when you lose the Lauren Jacksons, when you lose the Cam Bages, we don't have that dominant big, and they had Jackson, they had Susie Bakovic, they had these two amazing world class bigs
and Penny Taylor.
and Penny, so
at the
world
three,
class talent, right, come through, and
all in the same age group.
exactly, you know what I mean. So we're talking about those and then they all go away, and now we're like, okay, what are we going to do? And similar to the Paddy Mills, and once he's gone, that's 46 points a game. So if you have generation talent, I get it, but my thing is like in terms of AIS, we're investing a lot of money into kids early, because we can win 15s, 17s, 19s, which count to FIBA points.
Which also counts the government funding.
Yep. So that's the point. So we're almost designed to pick kids, early developers, overtrain kids who statistically are shown not to continue on past those age groups.
Yeah, and that's an interesting one. You talk about the statistically over, like, talking about the Lions Academy, Brisbane Lions Academy.
Yeah.
So when you look
early
at the kids,
developers, overtrain.
yeah. So my son made level 2. He didn't make level 3.
Yeah.
When you look at the kids who make level 3, and it's the same sort of system. Like,
Yeah,
you
it's
guys
a
sort of
similar
know.
system. Yeah,
And
everyone
you
knows the same
basically,
kids.
level 3, and the kids who continue on to play football, not just state league football,
Yep.
football. It's something like, it's huge numbers. Where the Brisbane Lions don't, but the Gold Coast Suns do it better than the Brisbane Lions, sort of thing, their academies. But yeah, I think we just got to be careful. I think the system needs. Yeah, one thing I've noticed since I've been back is the lack of valuing of. So no one's ever come to me. No state coaches have come to me and said, hey, I don't want you to talk about your own boys, but what about give me 3 guys from the other teams?
Yeah. Who should we be looking at?
Yeah, who hurts you? Who do you
are you
like?
scouting
Not your own
against?
boys, because everyone's biased towards their own kids.
Yeah,
So I'm not interested in talking about your own kids. Someone else can talk about them.
Yep.
And I'd love to see someone open-minded like that. I think that's an area of improvement.
But now,
He's right here.
I'd point out people and they'd be like, oh, no, not that kid, not that kid. That's always been my history.
But even the way, like, you talk about how here at St. James, and I've watched you play a little bit over the years and stuff like that. I think you talked once about trying to showcase individual skills in a team. Something like the terminology, which is sort of anti what I do. Do you know what I mean?
That's also anti-Basketball Australia.
Yeah. Like, so where I'm very like team, I mean, I'm like, you know, like not stay in your box. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But
it's and again, this is the problem. I get this is 100%. This is the issue. Is that if we look at different systems and different agendas, everyone is selling their system and agenda as being truth. So, you know, you look at, I was talking to Jared Pickering, who's a basketball junkie.
Who I coached back in the day.
Yeah, yes, you did.
We won a state championship together back on the 16s.
I remember.
I've won 9.
And then I coached him under 18s. I've won 9.
That's what I said to the kids.
This
year before the final, I'm like, this means nothing to me, boys. I've won 9. I'd love to get to the, but
it's so good. I want you guys to win it.
I want you to win it.
That trick we all play. I don't want to win.
But so I was talking to him.
He's a smart dude too.
Obviously, incredibly smart. But we were talking about the latest documentary with Kevin Durant, and you know,
is it on Netflix?
I don't know.
I turned it on this morning. I was going to watch it. I was going to watch it last night.
So we're talking about that. So I don't know, but he was talking to me about it, and he was talking how the French were talking about how the Americans just threw their team together, and France has been getting back together every summer, working as a group.
Yeah.
And it was interesting thinking about, okay, so France is selling the narrative that teamwork matters, and America was like, and Kevin Durant was like, hey, look, you can practice as much as you want, but how are you going to guard Steph Curry? And because that's their model, they were thrown together, they are individually based, and so he's saying this is the best way because that's their way, whereas France is saying the teamwork and all those things are their best way. And
it's the French system's an interesting one because I was talking to Warwick Kemp.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about, so they basically came over here and looked at the institute and how we do NPP.
Yep.
And they haven't established like, I could be wrong, I think this is right. They haven't established like a central hub.
Yeah.
Like they haven't established like a central hub, but because geographically the country's so small.
One sec, is there battery dying? Because
because their country's so small,
Yep.
geographically, every weekend, a kid from the north of France can be in Paris, say, for training for 2 hours.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas geographically, as a nation, we struggle with that,
Yeah.
even in Queensland sort of thing. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I don't think we need to, I think I said in the text message, we don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I think the water needs a little bit of...
So what do we need? Because if you look at the elite level, the reason we win a bronze medal is Paddy Mills. Coach openly admits it. There's a Paddy Mills rule where he can do whatever he wants. Like everyone else has to.
Did Gorgon say that?
100% he did. He over and over again. So did Lamanis. There's a Paddy Mills rule where that guy can do whatever he wants out of offense. Everyone else has to follow the system.
We were pretty unlucky. Like 212, 216. What was the one was it Rio where we lost the semi, but the Spanish Rudy Fernandez just chucked up something and we lost the bronze. We should have won a bronze there. I remember Bogut going off his tree about that. We also lost Bogut. Like everyone forgets Bogut when he was under 20s, under 22 World Championship. I think he averaged when they won the gold medal with that group, he averaged 30, 25 rebounds.
Yeah, he's amazing.
8 blocks, 6 assists, 4 steals. He was the number one player in the world in his age group by a long, long way. And then he got to the NBA and he was going well, and then he got injured.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And losing him, not losing him, redefining what he is.
So again, though, that is not dispelling what I'm saying, which is it's that at the top end, it's that individual talent that separates at the very, very pointy end.
Not even at the pointy end, at state titles. It's interesting this year though, using that argument, we lost the final to Southern Districts, and we have 4 kids in the state team.
Yeah.
They have 2.
Yeah.
Do you know, maybe their culture, maybe they were doing something.
Who played really well for them?
Noah Kirk, little mate, Aaron Honeyman's little son, youngest son. He just killed us, and he's not on any radars or whatever
Because he's short.
I'm not sure. I would say yes, but there are other short kids who are on the radar, but they're identified, as we talked about early.
Were they early developers? Identified early.
Identified early,
because that happens all the time. Like if you're good overtrained at under 14s, and the younger Honeyman hurt his back, so he was injured for a while. But if you're identified under 14s, and then doesn't matter how tall, you're early grower, so now you're 5'10" and under 14s, you're skillful, you're going to make every SPP, MPP, because we think that a 5'10", 14-year-old is going to end up a 6'10", 18-year-old.
I think we need to be careful with that. I think I've had kids before who I've seen in under 14s. Remember Mike Ahrens?
I know Mike Ahrens, yeah.
And I know he fell away.
But he was meant to be the next big thing.
Yeah, because he fell away because he got injured or whatever. I remember watching him when he was under 12, and he's this huge. He was 6 foot under 12s, and I remember saying to V-Dog, who was coaching the 14s, I said, if you put that kid in the post, mate, at 14s, you're just going to kill that kid. I said that kid needs to learn to play the entire game, and then he played for me at 16s.
Yeah.
As this sort of 6'4" point guard, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who could just see above everybody.
Yep.
We spaced the floor. And he was just so smart. He just passed the guy on the wing, basket cut so much bigger than the little guarding him.
Yeah.
So, and he never kicked on because of injury and stuff like that as well. But I think we've got to be careful not to pigeonhole kids early.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like I agree, and I think that. So how do we again? Systems aren't bad unto themselves, but it's when we pigeonhole kids early, I went to the QAS and I said, why are we doing this? And they basically, the person in charge at the time said, that's my KPI. Yeah. I'm trying to get kids into Australian teams for the under 15 team and the under 17. So, I'm looking for this, and this. And I said, well, what about the other kids who grow normal rates of development or whatever? Because it's not my concern because my KPI is this.
Yeah.
And so...
that's a systematic change that you're talking about in regards to what equals success. Because KPIs are how people keep their jobs.
How the government also gives you funding.
That's right.
So that's how we're designing it.
Yeah.
And that's why I guess I'm not mad about it. I'm just like, okay, I can see why you're doing that. But that so many people read into it further, as in, if you don't make it at those young age groups and your dream is to play pro, you don't have a chance.
Well, mate, your wife is an example of someone who was in the system. You know what I mean? She made state teams the whole way through.
And Australian teams and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But she... And
was a gun back in the day.
No. She was very good. She
Way better than
She
Kirron.
played WNBL when she was started.
Way better
when she
than
was
Kirron.
16.
Young, I remember that.
Playing
Way better
ABA
than
when she was
Kirron,
15.
It's way better than Kirron.
Oh, heaps better.
That's
not even a
Not even close. Oh my god.
It's not even a conversation.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Pope a Catholic? I don't know why you're actually having that.
saying that, mate?
I just want to point it out.
But I remember that as a kid. I remember watching her. I was older than you guys, sort of thing. But I remember watching her. She was.
And when you watched her play, like it all made sense. But she was also, skinny and not particularly tall and all these things. But she could shoot and she'd play hard defense and never stopped. So again, but system 100%. And me having these conversations with her don't make sense to her, because she's just like, oh, I just thought it just all worked out. Like you just score, like if someone's off you, shoot and it goes in.
Yeah.
And I just played really hard D, and that's why I got rewarded. I'm like, hell no. Like you were competitive, I get it. You were fit, I get it. You're a shooter.
She went to Christian Outreach College, didn't she?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you remember Nigel Byrne?
Yeah, yeah.
And so he coached their boys. And I remember they used to play club at Brisbane at BBI, and they used to rock in with their teams. And we'd have rep kids on our teams.
Yeah.
We're going to fucking smack these guys. They've one rep kid. Like, we got 6. You know, you're like, crap. And they would just play. And they to me, were the initial anti the system. Because their whole, like Nigel was a jack. He was a gunner back in the day. You know,
he could
still,
shoot.
actually, I saw it the other day. He put it up on Instagram. He's still shooting the crap out of it. But his whole thing was, cool, we're not going to be able to guard you down the other end, but you have to guard us down the other end.
Yep.
And went anti the system, sort of thing.
Well,
Which
again,
is kind of my impression of what you guys try to do.
Yeah, well, I stole that, obviously, because...
That's what the best coaches do, mate.
Yeah, well, he coached
original
all Rachel's brothers.
Yeah.
And then obviously Rachel was in that COC system, and I'm watching...
Is that school now called something different?
City Point.
Right, that's that place.
So they had to change it because it was associated with that pastor who...
Yes.
got in trouble. So essentially, but like I saw that and I saw how this, team was able to compete, against scholarship, like John Paul. They came second in the state champs and they're playing against John Paul with 10 state guys.
Yeah.
And and I was like, man, those guys could shoot, they could play D.
And played their system.
And played their system really, really well. And they didn't have anyone. And so I was like, okay, that's an opportunity if you don't have the ability to do the scholarship stuff.
No, it's interesting.
So it's just, again, for me, it's just a different way. So it's not like I think the system works to produce a certain type of player, but I also think that we don't allow in the system that we are promoting and that's promoted across Australia, using the same offense everyone uses, the same defenses. We've talked about this before where, where's the individuality? Where do people learn different styles? Where do we learn growth if we're all doing the same thing all the time? And that's one side of it. And the other side of it is, well, if everyone does the same system every year and the same kids play with the same kids every year, over an 8-year period, so they're early identified, they're going to know each other regardless of time.
Yeah,
Which I guess leads into, I don't know how long ago it was, the AAU one, you guys.
Yeah,
That guy, what was his name? Bolton.
Yeah.
Bolton,
Yeah.
Bolton.
Yeah, and he was talking about how it's an opportunity for kids who are like Div 3 rep players.
Not in that system,
to play Div 1 rep play. That sort of stuff. And you talked about your team, like that you had. And
Who won?
Who won?
Gold medal.
Just
but
I don't care.
Humble brag.
That's
It's
your-
about the kids.
That's your first
It's
championship.
about the.
But do you know what I love? Do you know what I love
You're
when you said
nine.
about how the kids were going to do that stupid huddle after a failure?
seen that? You've seen that,
I've
right?
seen it, mate.
It's insane.
That's one of the things I said to him. If we ever do that shit, you can come and sit down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you ain't playing. But I think that was an interesting discussion because there's another place for kids to play and compete.
But my thing is like, guys that I was lucky enough to work with, Brock and Bairstow, weren't part of the system. Brock didn't make the 16s.
No.
Bairstow didn't get anywhere until 18s.
Were they late developers though? They were late.
Brock-
That's
I
when I
mean-
was away. That's when I was out
Yeah,
west. I remember.
know. I mean, Brock was 6'7", under 16s.
Which kinda helps, yeah.
No, under 16s.
Oh, it was
Still-
16s.
Yeah. Still didn't make it. They were, no, you're not, because he wanted to shoot threes and take people on. And
Yeah, I do remember coming back once going, what is this kid doing? I remember watching him play.
So he was trying stuff.
Yeah.
Which
didn't look successful.
well, they wanted me back to the basket.
But he was
for shots.
awkward. He was, and he's still like when you.
Still
I've
awkward.
watched him play for a while, but his
yeah.
style is
still different.
It's fun.
It is
It's,
not.
it's
but
fun
it
to
doesn't-
watch, but it's not.
This is perfect because that's exactly what the system does.
This is why he's not in the Australia team.
You don't fit. That's a whole other conversation. But you don't fit into our model,
How old is he now?
and then 35 maybe.
Okay, so he's.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just meant the last iteration of.
Yeah, I think he's been pretty. I probably would have had him on the. Maybe not this Olympics that just went, but the last. I think he missed out the last two. I think
If
he's
we
pretty
needed
on-
scoring.
If
Yeah.
we need it, which we do.
Well, we just need guys who are 6'8", 6'9", who can
So he's
do a
six-
bit of
he's-
everything.
well, he's 6'10",
Yeah.
6'11" with shoes, so and can score. But that's a whole nother thing. But the thing is that he doesn't look right.
That's right.
And so because he doesn't look right, we will always go with the kid that looks right, tall, athletic, moves a certain way. Bairstow was the same. He ran funny, and so you'll never make it until you're in the NBA, starting for Chicago Bulls. Or maybe you might make something
And he was unlucky with injuries, like his career basically.
afterwards. Yeah,
afterwards.
Yeah. At the Olympics and
And then
shoulder.
he never really got back to where he could.
And then he
get
hurt
back
his
to.
knee,
Yeah, and then
and-
it's all too. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, you've
Yeah,
earned your
yeah.
money. Why would
Oh,
you
for
keep
sure.
putting yourself through?
But my thing is neither of those guys looked the part, and we didn't look past that in order to give them opportunities. And I think that to me that's the system. If you don't look a certain way, act a certain way, behave a certain way, instead of going, oh, you seem to be really, really effective. Maybe we could use you somewhere and see if they actually fit. That would be a different way to look at it because, again, like it's the people say, the Sudanese guys can only play center or wing. There's no Sudanese point guards. You know what I mean? But their Sudanese point guards seemed to do okay at the Olympics. They were competitive. It wasn't
100%.
like
They were awesome, mate.
Yeah. So why can't and it used to be Indigenous. Indigenous people can't be point guards.
Yeah, well, now
You
you
know
look.
what I mean? And it's
Will Hickey at the Illawarra Hawks. He's tough as nails,
you
mate.
know what I'm saying? Like
Will
that
White,
used to was that?
Will White. I'm just adding.
yeah,
it in
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, no, but absolutely. Like that's used to
McDowell
be
White,
the
he's tough,
yeah
he's
McDowell
tough.
White, but that used to be the thing. Like Indigenous people, like, Sudanese, you can't be a point guard, can't be making decision making. And that system.
That's in America. You know what I mean? Like the quarterbacks in the NFL are all white. Do you know what I mean? Like sort of until it's proven
we
otherwise.
work out
Yeah, exactly. They
otherwise.
can.
It's but I'm just saying, like, that's what's always. And I'm like, why don't you just say, okay, they're really good. Let's see where they fit.
Yeah, and I was having a discussion the other day with someone about that. We structure our teams in certain ways rather than going, who are our 5 best kids?
Like volleyball. So, in volleyball, you got to be 6'6".
Yeah.
AIS, you got to be 6'6". Other nations are like, no, you don't need to be 6'6". You're the libero or whatever it is. Like, what's that? I don't know what the right word
I think
is.
it's libero.
Something like that, yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
I never.
It's
the one who's in a different colour.
Yeah, but you can be any height you want.
Yeah.
Every other Australia's like, nah, you got to be 6'6".
Yeah.
So I think that it doesn't help us win.
No, because we don't even make world champs for volleyball. You
Well,
know what I mean?
but again, like, instead of looking at talent, ability, skill level, we go, okay, what's your height? What's your potential? And you look at, that dude from Japan that's killing it, in the NBA, and
But it's interesting.
never would have played for Australia.
But it's interesting because in different sports, like using cricket as an example, we allow like someone like Steve Smith.
Yeah.
If you look at the way he actually bats, and he's actually very unorthodox.
Yeah.
But we still allow him to be him.
Yeah, because it's effective.
That's right. Whereas, even go back to Shane Warne back in the day, like acts in a certain way, bit of a rebel, bit of this.
Legend, absolutely legend.
But because he was successful,
Yeah, and we
looked
allow
past
that
those
to happen.
shortcomings. Yeah, we didn't worry about things.
And I don't know if there's an AIS program for cricket.
There is it's not. I think it's called the Academy. It's in Adelaide.
Yeah.
It's not because it's not an Olympic sport.
Yeah, but
you know.
did those guys,
I think they did actually. I know Warren did. I think we saw Steve because he was a bit of a prodigy.
non-Olympic sports, I wonder if that makes a difference. Like we Olympic sports have a certain stigma about them. Like and again, I don't have an answer. I just know that looking from afar over a long period of time, like we're looking at bringing in Kyrie Irving. You know
That's
what I mean?
not going to happen, mate.
But we're looking at it.
Yeah, I know.
The fact that we're looking at it, and it's
38
like,
years old or he is,
yeah, like you go, so when he was 18, right, we would have had, let's say there's 2 point guards every year. He's 36. That's 18 years. That's 36 of the best players come out of Australia, and we can't find one. Like,
Yeah. So, but his story because
You were saying no to Kyrie just then, though?
no.
If it was an option?
no, it's a no.
That's
No,
insane.
it is a no. He
It
won't
has
be
to
able.
be a no.
No, I thought that was your opinion, or you're
No,
saying straight.
he can play. I'm not saying he can't.
Okay,
I
okay.
don't enjoy the way he plays. I don't like
Kyrie?
too
Are
much.
you saying that we shouldn't have like we go with Kyrie rather than having developed over 18 years someone who would be that competitive?
No. You're saying from a skill perspective. You're saying from a playing perspective.
Wait, there's something just switched.
Are
I
you
don't
just
know what
saying you
you're
enjoy Kyrie? You just say you love him. You love him at the Olympics.
You wouldn't love Kyrie to be on your team.
At the Olympics?
No.
Okay.
When's the next Olympics?
Even like I think there's too much.
How old
burning sage.
how old would he be? How old would he
I think
be?
he'd be 36 or something like that.
Too much burning sage. What does that have to do with basketball?
Because it's all the stuff like that goes around him, the culture stuff. I don't know.
Didn't Giddy just play in the Olympics
Is he going to train?
with the stuff around him?
Is he going to train?
Yeah, Giddy. That's tough though because Giddy, mate. If you walk into a nightclub and
No, I'm not saying anything is wrong.
But
I'm
you
just
got to
saying
think everyone's the right age if you're at a nightclub.
There was things around it. I'm saying
We'll
with
just
Kyrie-
just leave the giddy thing. 'Cause that's even
that's
worse than what
that's
you
another
go,
whole
mate.
thing.
So, yeah.
I'm saying okay, playing style. People don't like his.
No, so I don't enjoy. See, to me, I don't enjoy. I like. I think he's too much. I don't enjoy my point guards being too much
individualised?
individual, like them
Oh,
first.
like Patty Mills. Oh,
Patty Mills isn't a point guard, mate. He's a two guard in a point guard's body.
So you'd have Paddy and Kyrie.
I could have I mean like
I would
So let's say we had that,
put
right?
Patty to sit down over. I'll take Kyrie over Patty. I'm sorry.
but
I'm
100%,
taking Kyrie
from a
over Patty.
skill perspective, like 100%, like you got the NBA backs it up, mate. Like
And-
Kyrie's and all like a
Yeah,
generation.
NBA didn't even play. Yeah,
but
USA
that's
didn't
a
even play.
personal thing, and I got no issue with that. And Kyrie's really good. Like, and if you put him, he would make most Olympic teams. You know what I mean? Like generally speaking,
Yeah.
he would make most Olympic teams.
But he hasn't made the last 2 or 3 American ones, has he?
No, he has not. Why is that?
And so that's the question. You highlight individuality
Yep.
and the highest skill level and the highest performers
Yeah.
win
Yeah.
championships. Stephen
Sorry,
Curry, it's
say it again.
amazing.
The highest
Win
performance
the highest, the most skilled players, the best,
At the
best
highest
players.
level, when you've got a really solid team, right, and then the point of difference in a final is the highest skill players. Yeah.
Yeah, so Australia, we have a great team.
Do
Don't we need one
we
more?
have a great team?
I'm just saying, for an example, if
No,
you already
I'm
have
asking, I'm asking if we have a great team because
if
that's
we-
my point.
we-
My
we-
point
if
is
we already have a good, solid team already,
That's gonna play
plays
defense.
amazing, great teamwork and all that cool stuff.
Who can we give the ball at the end?
Wouldn't you want that one person to take over the edge? Isn't that why they were looking at the
Bryce Cotton.
Bryce Cotton.
Yeah, look,
yeah. So that logic makes sense.
He was throwing a different.
Yeah. Look, I don't enjoy how the modern NBA is played. That's actually what it is.
Yeah.
I still remember 1987 coming home from VJBL, turning on the TV. It was the Dallas Mavericks versus the Los Angeles Lakers, and a guy fouled out. He got his fifth foul, and I was like, he's not going off the court, like because in Australia we had 5 fouls, and and they were calling him disqualified after he got his sixth foul. I'm like, did he get ejected? You know what I mean, like that sort of stuff. So that NBA was what I grew up with. The end of Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, who was just
The golden era.
the golden era, 100%. And then you had the next era, which was Shaq and all that, which is still awesome.
Yeah.
And then you went to this generation of just like now, it's unwatchable. Like really, 80 like out of those 82 games.
Yeah.
What's the point? What's the point in watching them?
They're noticeably not trying. The fact that the commission is like, hey, you guys need to pretend.
Well, it's funny because you sit there and you think, like, so Michael Jordan played his whole career with someone with his hand on his hip, the whole career. Now, if someone puts a hand on Steph or whatever, foul.
Yeah.
How much would he? You know what I mean? Because he was 6'6". He was he's a weapon. You know what I mean? I think there's. You can argue LeBron or you can argue MJ. You know what I mean? Like sort of thing. People have, like I
don't think you can argue LeBron. I think you grew up in an era where if you were allowed to be physical, then would he be good enough to adapt?
I enjoy LeBron because at LeBron's core, he's a playmaker. He's a playmaker.
True.
He's actually, which is amazing. He's the leading scorer of all time.
Yeah.
But at his core, when you watch him play, he's a playmaker. Like he's coming down the floor at 6'8",
Making plays.
whatever he's making plays.
That's
He's like Karl Malone back in the day. You know what I mean? He's that size.
But better, like more skillful.
Yeah, more
point guard.
skillful. And
Yeah,
so
it's true.
that's what I find amazing about LeBron because he's that. But no, that's just
Personal thing. Yeah. And that makes sense. Like the Kyrie thing though, like my problem is that with all the money we're investing into Australian basketball and the number of kids that play, like one of the second highest played sport in Australia, as a junior sport, we can't, and teams of people dedicated to development, allegedly. And we
Not allegedly.
well, they're obviously not doing a good job because we don't have a single guy who we're going to go overseas and go, oh, this guy's a dual national. Let's get that guy. Or we'll convert.
So this is what, like, who is hyping this argument? Like the Kyrie to the Boomers, the media.
Yeah.
So what's happened? It's been, in my understanding, it was a throw. Some Australian journalist has asked Kyrie because it happens every 2 or 3 years. Do you want to play?
Yeah.
And he's actually gone. He said something along the lines of, "Yeah, my team's working." Something along.
we're looking at it.
We're
or
looking
something,
at it.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden we've gone. Kyrie's going to play for the Boomers.
Just immediate.
He's not going to be allowed to. He's already played for Team America, and the FIBA
But
rules
it's a
basically
good
say
conversation.
that the developing nations, if he was a dual citizen for Angola, they probably would let him play for Angola.
Yeah.
But we're not a developing basketball nation.
No.
Yeah, sort of thing.
And that's why, like, and again, they had that conversation when he first started, and I remember.
Yes.
And they were saying, like, are you going to play for America? And you're not good enough to play for America, was the argument.
Yes.
So you may as well come to Australia.
Because he only lived in Australia for like 2 years. His dad was an import down in my glory days down in Melbourne. Sort of thing. I think it was for Byrne. Byrne, sort of thing.
And so, like, I remember that argument way back when.
Yeah, I remember,
But my thing is why are we even looking at a Kyrie? Surely we should be looking and even naturalising that guy from Perth, or the fact we naturalise that our starting point guard for the women's team.
Sammy Whitcomb.
Yeah, Sam Wickham. You know what I mean? Like, we're naturalising Americans instead of when we have a whole system dedicated to developing our own people.
So are we
That's
just
my-
plugging holes where the holes are.
How can there be? I get it, but I'm asking, how can there be holes?
Because we're not China, we don't have 1 billion people.
So,
Yeah, so like the volume of people. So like this is like you want to talk about like jumping to China. China's like if they ever figure it out, if they can do it properly,
It's over.
it is like they've got 1 billion people. You know what I mean? Like sort of thing. There
India has 1 billion people.
Yeah, India's a little bit like from a basketball perspective, it's 2-3 generations behind. They're starting their own pro league, which is interesting. It's under 25s or something like that, which I think is a great idea. See some Australian kids are playing. I don't know how they're going to enjoy living in like Mumbai.
So if we go to the numbers thing, right, and then we go to some of these, because this is always the easiest way. You go to Slovenia, where they've got less people.
But basketball's a religion in Slovenia.
No, but just in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
So I think they got a population of 1 million.
Yeah.
Right. So 500,000 of men, and you go to that, you literally have eligible people playing basketball, like between whatever the ages are. It comes down to like 150,000.
Yeah.
Of like whatever that is, 12 to that 150,000, right? People playing who, if they all played basketball, which we know they wouldn't be, and they're able to produce elite guards and all those things.
So now I'm going to show my age. When they were when USSR was around, you had Slovenia, Lithuania, all those. They
Yugoslavia.
were yeah. So but the Russian bloc,
Yeah.
Slovenia, Lithuania. Like Lithuania had guys like Simonis,
Yep.
and those generational type guys, and it created my understanding become part of their like even Ukraine. It can become part of their
Culture.
identity as a state in the USSR. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So that's why it became that sort of religion.
But I agree. But my thing is just pure numbers. They shouldn't be able to produce guards because they're shorter. You know what I mean? Like I'll just say, or even bigs because you don't have the height. But
who
of that
who
quality.
Slovenia actually like Luka? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they had that Gorge and
Dragic, both the brothers.
Yeah, and they were good.
Yep. So they were elite. Like
Yeah, NBA. They were. One was an all-star.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they were elite guards. So you got those three. Now you've got guys who play EuroLeague or starters in EuroLeague. So and you look at them and go, okay, you're not like an all-star, like the greatest player of all time, but you're definitely impactful on the offensive end, and defensively, in a world stage.
Yeah.
And my thing is we have, particularly now, we have, second generation imports, tall, long, athletic, who find it difficult to get a bucket. And without Patty Mills...
Simmons.
Yeah. Well, Simmons is just one of them.
He's a point guard.
Did you watch? He was a point guard. But in terms of scoring, we'll just put this guy in the wing, this guy in the corner, and we're just going to drive and kick, brick. We can't win. And it's like, why can't these long athletic people score, consistently in an Olympic level?
So Dante Exum's an example of that, and I think he's been hampered. His career's been hampered by injuries
early on. Yeah.
I think if he can ever figure it out, because the hype was he was the coming of Jesus
Drafted
Christ,
number 5, yeah.
and then Simmons was a year younger. Sorry,
Yep.
and then Simmons took over.
Yep.
And went to LSU and went to
LSU.
Yeah, but before that he went over for a year
Montverde.
Academy,
Yep.
and then
We sold that hard.
yeah, but then he's sort of fallen off the face of the earth.
Before his whatever breakdown,
Simmons, yeah.
he was very elite.
Oh mate, he was unreal.
But what is it that? Why didn't he want to play for Australia? Why? What's the grift with Elizabeth in Australia? What is going on there? Is there anything there? Before he had his breakdown, I'd seen him play he played under 18,
Bolden
under
in
19.
Australia. Simmons in Australia.
Yeah.
there's-
Who, sorry?
Bruce, remember Bolden?
Jonah Bolden?
Jonah Bolden, yeah.
so
He's
him,
back playing in the
Simmons.
NBL, yeah.
But at the time, he was in the Australian team. He
Yeah.
was-
So, look, I think with Simmons, it depends on its perspective.
Yeah,
It depends on who you listen to. It depends on every story's got 3 versions of the truth, doesn't it?
Yeah,
sort of
true.
thing. And I think Simmons had my mail from people, listening to people and talking to conversations. He had a lot of handlers around him,
Yeah.
which is a very American sort of way, sort of thing. And if
Once he got to the league?
Yeah, once he got even
before?
when he was at Montreal Academy, you know what I mean, that sort of stuff, and he went to LSU because was Dave Patrick, that's the guy,
Dave
he's
Patrick.
his godfather or something like that.
Godfather, yeah.
So his dad, Dave Simmons, who played for the Melbourne Tigers, he was just an unbelievable athlete. Like he was just it was funny because big guy, not 6'10", but like 6'7", 6'8", real solid worker. Made a career in the NBL. Still here. I assume they still live in Australia. Had the flattest nose of all. He was an ugly fucker too, but cut that bit.
We'll cut that one out.
But he was. But yeah, it was interesting. Whereas Exum always wants to play for Australia, even when he's injured, he wants to play. You know what I mean, like sort of thing. I think Exum's got a little bit more resilience than what Simmons does. Like I think. But Simmons was good, mate.
Simmons is amazing.
But then you had Philly, because I don't know if have you ever been to Philly? Like it's
No.
I
heard it's a different type of place.
It's a different type of place. Like it's cold. It's very like that East Coast, Philly, Boston. When I travelled, like it's a different world. Like they're just so parochial. They're people. You know what I mean? Which is awesome. New York is awesome, but it's not. It's they are as well. But Philly is just like it's just hard-working people. Do you know what I mean? And they just have a real. They can love you or they can turn on you, and they really turned on him.
I've heard that.
And then it just becomes this spiral. It's like he can't get himself out of it. So.
Yeah, which is fine, which is fine.
Yeah.
Did you have another question as well?
Yeah, it was about skills trainers.
Amazing.
Touchy subject.
Skills
Touchy.
trainers.
Why is it touchy?
Do your players have skill trainers?
There are so many guys out there.
Your 5 minutes.
There are so many guys out there who market themselves and call themselves skills trainers, whatever they want to call themselves. And every time I look at what they're doing 1-on-0, dribbling through cones, putting it through their legs 6 times, getting on the rim. When the heck is that going to happen in the game? You know what I mean? Like sort of thing. Now, there's a difference between developing kids and I think these people who are skill trainers. And also I think some of these people are taking the piss in the money that they're charging for what they actually get out of it.
It's phenomenal and it's getting bigger and parents just keep paying.
I keep paying.
The problem is though, is what I found.
With no pedigree.
What's worse is that parents will pay if you charge more and they judge you if you charge less.
So, but there's no, talking about the system, I'm a level 2 NCAS, whatever. I started doing
Well done.
Thank you. Yeah. I started in my level 3 back in the day, but I never went through with it, right? With these skills trainers, they can just go, oh, I'm whatever. Do you know what I mean?
I'm a skills trainer.
I'm a skills trainer.
Yep.
And there's no...
How do you know? How do you differentiate between quality?
That's right. And
what you
so
getting?
it's funny because one of our kids I know who used to go to quite a prominent skills trainer now goes to a guy who I barely heard of.
Yeah.
And he just says the work that they do is so good, and so much better.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, and he said it's costing half the price.
Yeah.
Because this guy's actually more invested in him and
Getting
his
better
individual
and his
journey
development,
than putting in his group there'll be like 3 guys versus this other they'll say, oh yeah, we do individuals.
It's
we have,
6.
We have 18 guys.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? Like that's not individuals. You know what I mean? Like and I just think there's almost like too many voices for the kids. Like they're hearing, and it's like they've got to sort of choose who they're listening to for advice, and it's actually scary.
And it's good advice. Like it's how do you, because if they're listening to people, how do you know whether or not that is actually going to help them get better?
Exactly right. And it's a phenomenal world with that sort of stuff.
It's phenomenal.
And even stuff like, not so much that AAU stuff, but like we had, when we were at our last state tournament, big Harry Cook.
Yeah.
We're driving. So we were driving to have his parent dinner on the second last night. We're driving. No, sorry. It was on the way to our quarterfinal. It's not a quarterfinal, but it was a quarterfinal game. And he's on his phone. He goes, oh, this guy just won't leave me alone. I'm like, oh, who are you doing? It's one of these organisations.
Yeah.
Cold
That
messaging.
does tours or something, yeah.
And it's not. There's a couple of really good guys out, like Jono Mines. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Not him. It's not him. So I won't say this person's name. It's not him though.
Yeah.
Because Jono actually has the kids' best interests at heart. I think we've had that conversation as well.
Yeah.
But this guy's like
John
messaging him.
Irons is a friend of the program, by the
Oh,
way.
he's a good,
I
yeah,
saw
good.
that. Yeah, I
He's
saw
good
that.
bloke.
Yeah.
Good bloke. I just saw him this morning. Actually.
Yeah.
He's back. Huh?
Yeah, back from Japan. Yeah, but he, this guy is messaging. So I just said to Harry, I said, send this message. We're because I'm driving in the front. He said, I said, my coach says to give him a call. Here's my number, and he'll like to talk to you. This guy never rang.
Yeah.
Because he knew I was going to crucify him. We're in the middle of trying to win a fucking state tournament.
Yeah, why
Do you
he
know what I
takes
mean?
my kid.
Why? But not even that. Child safety, like this,
Well,
as much as
look,
these kids are
it's-
6, 8,
well,
they're 16 years
No, but
old.
not only that, that's how people communicate now. Is they again we aware of child safety through teaching.
Yeah.
That if it is absolutely phenomenal how coaches will reach out to underage kids as adults to children on social media.
Yeah. So what I do, even with my kids now, so I'll use Harry as an example, right? So we had our presentation day last weekend. He said to me, "Can I ring you about some stuff this afternoon?" I said, "Yep, that's fine." So he rings me.
Yep.
Blah 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 blah. Have a chat. I try to not give the kids answers. I like to open-ended questions so they get to the. I have an opinion. I say to kids all the time, "I'm not going to tell you my opinion. I want you to get to your own opinion." And if I disagree, I'll decide whether or not I'll let you know. But then straight away, I message his parents just to say, "Hey, we've had this." And as he's like Harry's using Harry's example, his dad says, "Stop messaging. I don't care." You know what I mean? I trust you enough to have.
Yeah.
But that's because we have a relationship.
Yeah, but you do that.
But
because
these people, mate, they're just messaging their kids saying,
that's true.
You know what? Like who the?
How are you,
know what I mean?
how are you messaging my
With
kid?
the least detail possible. That happened to someone I know recently. Hey, this guy said I can go on a tour with him. Blah blah blah.
Was it one of the ones where they say they can go for free? Because you know what I mean, like something like
I don't remember, but what I do remember is saying, "Hey, get them to send all the details of what's actually going to happen,
Exactly right.
and talk to the family.
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
them in contact
Yeah.
with your family." Again, they didn't. Do
And that's
that
where
as well.
using Jono as an example,
yeah,
because
yeah.
Sid, his dad's a teacher. I think he always comes
Yeah.
in that position, and he works with Cam Besto,
Yeah,
as well in
yeah.
that agent space. So that's why I think the way they do it is the
It's
right
a, it's
way.
a different, and again, they're trying. Their whole premise as agents was to try to help kids to get to their dream. If you're serious about basketball, like that's it. It's not just like a money making thing. It's like, hey, look, this is something we can help people with. Let's look at other ways. Yeah, you got college, but you also got Europe, but you also got Japan. You also got all these options, rather than just selling, I guess, the easy money making.
Oh, so I remember like late last year, one of my boys from the 18s early in the year messaged me saying, "I'm trying to get to America. I'm trying all these tours. I don't know who to talk to. I think this guy's John O'Mines goes, can he ring you?" I'm like, "Okay, cool." And I said to John, I said, "Mate, okay, my job in the next half hour is to figure out if you're a snake, if you're just ripping kids off or not." Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah.
said, I'm going to ask you some questions, and the answers are going to basically tell me whether or
you're-
not you've got the kid's best interest in heart. And I think like he does, in my opinion.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
does.
I think so too.
Whereas some of these other dudes, and I would argue some of
never
these,
know.
getting back to skills
No,
trainers.
but
and
it's
stuff.
exactly the same. Like
So we
skills.
got guys who call themselves skills trainers, like living like near where I live, like out of Albany Creek, working out of Albany Creek High. And I'm looking at this guy's website, and I'm like,
I'm a
Great
skills.
website.
I'm a skills trainer. So just be careful. That's
"Who
what I
are
do.
you?" Like, and I said, like this sounds big-headed, but if I don't know who you are,
Yeah. How can you?
how can you have like any pedigree? Like I know that, and that sounds so big-headed.
But what if the message is don't listen to the message, don't listen to the messenger, listen to the message. Isn't that that's
What
the
do you
same?
mean?
I was going to say
What if the message is valid?
from the
skills trainer?
from the skills trainer.
Yeah. What if the message is valid, the methods are valid, but that messenger didn't hit the levels that you would like?
I think that
you guys would
I
like
think
it.
everyone in their life, and we're not taught this, has to choose, right? Whose camp they follow.
Yeah.
They've got to choose whose advice they're going to take. And we don't teach kids early enough or well enough to discern anymore what is going to be useful to them. They are taught, if you don't like this, you go to that. If you don't like this, they don't know why they're making those decisions. And I think that there's so many skills trainers out there that you don't, how do you know if that sort of training is actually translating to my game?
Do you remember Jeff Tarrant?
I know Jeff Tarrant very well.
So, because
Still a BBI.
Yeah, no, he's not. No, he's not anymore. Like he's a Mitchy boy. I don't know where he.
Jeff Tarrant.
No, not Mick. Jeff.
No, Jeff still coaches at Auckland Fire, yeah, but with different like.
Yeah,
with,
no, he's someone who he's the anti-system. You know what I mean? Like, so he
for
never.
sure.
He
so
never
him and Jeff
conformed.
Mick still coach.
Yeah,
and
he never
They
conformed.
started their own association.
Yeah. So he I remember when I was a kid, so he was West Mitchie, and he used to skill train us.
Yeah.
And never asked for a cent,
Yeah.
never asked for, and it was all to do with helping you to get better.
Yeah.
You know, now that was a different generation.
Yeah.
I understand some people are doing this for a living and whatever, but I just think,
But it's hard to discern.
that's right. And they're hyping these kids up to be
Yeah,
like they're not being real.
and you're on
they
the
are.
YouTube,
Yes,
YouTube videos.
everyone has
you do Instagram, and it's
baseline hoops. That was cool.
Everyone has YouTube podcasts and there's just videos, all this nonsense.
I know.
It's
Just
ridiculous.
like people doing that.
It's ridiculous.
and making money. But like that's why I'm coming back to that teaching kids to be able to discern what's good for them and what isn't. And we don't teach them that because say you've got a 6'9" kid, right, who's like, oh, I don't know what to do next. You know, but he wants to go to the NBA, right? And isn't it the AIS because doesn't think that's a good option for him. Say they're in Brisbane, who can help them to develop through their perception, opportunities and all those things to have an opportunity without going to college to get to the NBA? Like that's a huge thing to be able to achieve. And it's possible if that kid, young person, is able to go, oh, okay, who might be able to help me? What's involved? What does it look like? And then buy into it. And there's a lot of people who sell it.
Yeah, buying in. Yeah, that's right. And you've got to, who do you trust?
Because you're
putting your, and as a parent, who do you trust with your child and your financial investment?
because a lot of these people will talk, oh, this is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I do. Whereas actually doing it's a totally different thing. And they're pretty safe because most people don't make it. You know what I mean? Like I can say whatever I want because most people aren't going to make it anyway or they're going to quit. Whereas if someone puts in the effort, goes, okay, let's sit down and work this out and I can't promise anything because it's a lot of effort and all this, parents are like, oh, you're not really hyping us up. You're not really promising anything. And they're the people who you may have an opportunity with because I just don't think hype and words and promises equate to any sort of performance. Performance and achievement takes time, it's effort, it's overcoming obstacles. And you've got to have the right people around you to push through so many unseen barriers and adversity to achieve it. And do kids now and parents now, are they willing to invest and believe and trust over tell me how good I am, tell me that, like, you know, sell me the dream.
But that's not now just a basketball thing, that's a societal thing.
100%. Yeah.
You know, like getting into teaching, it's like it's a societal thing.
Yeah. Sell me the dream so I can just be deluded.
That's right.
Rather than tell me the truth and I've got to get to work. If you find the kids who want to get to work, there's still a chance for them to make it. If it's just living a dream, well then go to anyone you want. Like,
no, that's true. I agree with that.
Can I end with this?
It's your podcast,
it's
mate.
your podcast.
Exactly.
One small change, because it's going to just take small changes to change this whole societal thinking or system thinking. What's one small change you would like to see? In
society, not just basketball?
I think it could be both, yeah.
So in society, I think we have an issue with youth. We need to be... they need, like, we're not holding people accountable enough. And you can't, like, there's an issue in schools with school discipline. Do you know what I mean? Like, the school discipline levels are through the roof. You know what I mean? And you can't tell me there's not a direct correlation with, like, youth crime. You know what I mean? Like, that sort of mentality of you can do what you want.
Yeah. You can do anything you want.
And get a slap over the wrist at the most.
Yeah. But not in a negative way, but in a positive way. You can achieve anything you want. I think
we need, that's true too. I think, we need to bring kids back to reality. That's, that's you know what I mean? And that's not...
Just fight through everyday reality.
Yeah, and adversity. Yeah. And it's okay. Like, I talk to, like, teach grade 6.
Sorry, seek out the hard route. Like seek out the hardest journey and see how you go.
But kids know where they're at. Like year 6, I said to my year 6 kids, I say, like, we had a maths assessment the other day. And I said, this is a really easy one. It's the easiest one I do all year. So I said, if you're a C kid, you should be aiming for a B. D kid should be aiming for a C. You know what I mean? A should be going for a really good A. And I said, really, you know where you are. By 11 and 12 years, I said, if I had to line you up from the smartest kid to, I shouldn't say the dumbest, but the least capable, you'd know where you stand in the line. You know what I mean? Roughly. And you'd probably get it right, you know, sort of thing. So I think it's about bringing that notion of they know where they're at. Where are you at? You know what I mean? Like, it's not everyone's going to be a brain surgeon. Not everyone's going to play in the NBA. So the small change that I would make is make kids more, like, seek the hard word. I agree with that. But also know where you're at and be proud of where you're at. and be happy with where you're at
Yeah.
and try to improve where you're at, but celebrate your successes along the way,
Yeah.
but also like understand that, what's the podcast called? Seekers. You're seeking, you know what I mean? Always. Searches. You're searching
For
for the next.
searching. You're searching.
You're
Just
searching.
at that. You're happy where you're at, but just searching. And that way you're always
But that's life. That's not basketball. That's
Yeah.
that's everything.
Are you searching for anything right now?
See, it's interesting because I'm 48. I'm getting old. So my kids, so for example, my son, he's 18, just started uni. He's studying to become a pilot, aviation. My daughter's in grade 10. So that's, my wife and I had this conversation the other day about what does the next 10 years look like for us personally. You know, what's our next, you know, like, unfortunately, we live in a world where I'm going to have to work till I'm 60, 65, you know, 5 at the moment. Yeah, I've got another 15, 17 years worth of work.
You won't just find $1 million
Mate,
somewhere?
if I win the lotto, I said to my kids at school the other day, I said, if I win the lotto, I'll come in to say goodbye. I said, I'll buy everyone Maccas. And I'm out. We're going to play golf every day. But get a personal trainer, lose some of this, you know, like sort of things. But am I seeking? It's interesting. No, I know we're finishing up. I got a new principal, and she's come in. And whenever you get a new principal, it's scary because you know where you sit, you know, whatever.
Yeah, the old one. Yeah.
And she's come in and she's introducing. It's called Kagan structures. It's the big educational term for it. And we're doing these things in a staff meeting. I'm going, no, this is crap. I'm not doing this crap. This is crap. You know, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. And we do it more, and I go, oh, this is all right. You know what I mean? I'm not minding this. And then the guy I teach beside, he runs every morning, second morning before school, he does running club. And he has 150 kids at a team. So we all have a rotational schedule. We go before school, give him a hand with running club and whatever. And he always buys us a coffee, so that's always why we get out.
Nice.
And the new principal's down there. I said, and we started talking about these structures, and I'm like, and she's telling me, and she was talking about how she was anti-change, like anti these structures. And as time went at previous school, she's like, no. And then she bought into it, you know, and now she loves it. And so then I started thinking some more. Then I saw her about 2 days later, and I was walking down. I said, I'm not very happy with you. She looks at me, she's like, oh, why? Like, you know, we don't really know each other that way. We're 4 weeks into our relationship.
You're an intimidating guy.
No.
I'm not happy with
And
you.
I'm not very happy. She goes, all I've been thinking about is this Kagan structure stuff, like she laughed, you know, like that sort of stuff. Because I guess, what am I seeking? I'm seeking in my professional life how I can continue to improve and help kids, but also not throw the baby out of the bathwater and make my life easier as well, you know, like sort of thing.
How do you keep learning?
How do you keep learning? And there was this term used to get thrown around about lifelong learners. You know, like we used to hear there was a buzz term.
Yeah, I've got that in my LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think I've been filling around with LinkedIn too. I don't have a clue what LinkedIn is, mate. I'm in there. I've set up a profile.
It's a dating app now.
It's like Facebook for stuff. I don't really know what you're supposed to share in it. But yeah, I think it's this term of lifelong learning. I think it's whilst it's this throwaway term, it is. We are trying to always learn and seek, you know, like sort of thing. Search. Sorry, I keep saying search.
Yeah, but when you stop, then I think that's when you.
But even like with basketball, since I've been back, you know, something because I was very regimented, you know what I mean, like very
System orientated.
System orientated, you know, like we used to, you know, like play the way I want to play, you know, like there's lots of like my way or the highway, you know, sort of thing. Whereas like this year, it was probably the most I've just gone, let's go. Do you know what I mean? Like sort of thing. And I think I've adjusted with that because even the way we played this year, like we shot so many threes, you know what I mean? Like something, because that was our strength as a group, whereas that would 10,
never
15
fly
years
with
ago,
you.
Because I grew up, you don't let it fly, you know? Where now, I'm like one of our kids didn't shoot it and you're off, mate. Come sit off. Like, that was a good shot. Why didn't you shoot it? You know,
you're open to change.
That's right.
Amazing.
So it's just, I've learned through that sort of thing.
Cool.
So.
It's amazing. Amazing. KB?
What am I searching for?
I mean, you have any
Same.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. Continuing to learn.
Continue to learn.
What are you searching for?
Yeah, Tem.
It's easy from the cheap seats to say, what are we searching?
What are you searching for, Tem?
How old are you?
29.
29.
29.
Not married.
Just want some peace. Not married. Just want some peace. Just want some peace.
Some peace.
Some more hair.
Some,
Yeah.
Some hair.
I just want to know more.
Get back to the
I
gym.
just want to know more about myself. That's it.
that's because I remember being in my late 20s, like before I had kids and whatever. It's about.
Yeah.
It's a different world when you have kids. Like when you have kids, it's all your world just goes.
Different world.
It's
You
just
gotta,
all about
you gotta
them.
change everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And don't let you. How many you got? 3, haven't you?
4.
Far out, mate. They
It's a
outnumber
mistake.
You. They double you.
It's a mistake. I'm not lying. Like, don't have
We
more
have
than
2, mate.
Don't
Like,
have more than 1, maybe 2 at best.
I have one. My daughter just grunts at me. You know what I mean? Like, what time's dance? 6. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, 4 is a mistake.
Yeah, that's way too many. Like once they outnumber you, it's like
I put my hand up. Did not think that through.
And those heavy decisions end on you guys as the family.
100%. Like, and then it's hard now. With our son, I've struggled with it. My wife's a bit better. My wife, she rules the roost. Like in the pecking order of her house, it goes my wife, the kids, the cats, and I'm down here. Do you know what I mean? Like, sort of thing. But I'm struggling with that notion now of like with my son, really, like, still trying to. He's not a kid. He's
Trying to parent.
Trying to parent, and he's telling me.
But he's not a
you know
kid.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
he's
that
not a
sort of
kid.
thing,
Like,
you know?
it's
And
the worst.
It's hard. It's really hard. And now
Because you've done it for so long.
That's right. And he's telling me the other day. He said, "I'm not coming home." And I'm like, "Are you asking me or telling me?" He's like, "I'm just telling you,
I'm just filling you in.
filling you in." Or like last night, he went because he's got an older lady girlfriend. She's 20, and it was so we're friends 21st. They went to the valley, and I'm dropping him in. I'm like, well, so what are you doing after this? Because I don't know. I'll let you know.
Hey, what?
Oh, fuck, that's terrifying.
No, hold up. That's not what I've done for 20 years.
No,
Like-
that's right. And I am struggling with that big
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Like my wife, she always gets up me for it. And I approach things in the totally wrong way because I think it's partly due because I'm a teacher, I'm such a control freak as well. Like,
Yeah.
But I
Being organised.
really struggling with that massively. And
That's massive, and we should do a podcast purely on that.
I have some
because
questions
it
off
would-
camera about that. That'd be great.
because it wouldn't just be like
yeah.
us. I'm the same.
no,
So it would be
and it's something you don't talk about
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
that would actually be that'd be a cool
Amazing.
podcast because I think that I'm going through the same thing. My twins graduated last
Yeah,
year,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so that whole
you got 2 at the same time.
yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
so it's just done, and now they're doing similar things. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and it's like so. But again, no one talks about it.
No.
And no one. You can't. I sort of knew it was coming, but I wasn't ready for it. It'd be cool. That'd be a cool conversation.
Gotta come back, please.
And have that conversation. Parenting.
Please.
Well, come back to the pool house. We talked about the pool
That's
house
it.
before. It looked like a pool house.
It is. We'll go.
But no, I can do that. That's cool fun. It's been good fun.
Thank you so much.
No, all
Thank you
good,
so
boss.
much. Surgeon's Podcast. God bless. Take care.